we'll call the meeting to order. Now, this is the Tuesday, November 1st, 2022 meeting of the Hopkinton Conservation Commission. And we'll start with the work session items. We have one document for review, 56 Downey Street. This is an enforcement and restoration order. Do you want to hold off on this?
We could table it until the discussion item.
Okay. Yeah. Draft minutes for October 18th, 2022. Did anyone get a chance to look at those? Any questions, comments? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of October 18th?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'll abstain. I wasn't here.
So we have a request for a certificate of compliance for 242 Hayden Rose Street.
So Jeff, that's actually the request.
Oh,
has been
right.
continued.
Yeah. So that got postponed to the next meeting, which is November 15th.
Well, I'll see the minutes.
Okay, another request for a certificate of compliance for 55 Fruit Street. Kim, this one looks good from your standpoint, I think.
Yep, so this was a notice of intent for a culvert replacement under a driveway, and Lucas went out, and I believe they didn't have any substantial comments. Would you concur?
Okay, look good to you,
Look
Joe?
good. Yes, I do look good.
Okay. If I need a motion to approve the COC for 55 Fruit Street,
So moved.
and a second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, cease and desist discussion for 56 Downey Street.
Jeff, I have a question about that.
Yes.
Is it 56, or is it, because when I drove down, all the odd numbers are on the lakeside, the even numbers are on the other side. But is that really 56? Oh, 56 is part of it. No. That's what it says, huh? All right. I must have been sitting in the right side of the car. I was driving on the passenger side.
Were you sitting in the baby seat, like reverse?
I was, yeah, yeah. Well, it said airbag off, so I had to jump into that.
Okay, do we have a representative from 56 Downey here? I believe they said they were coming tonight, right?
I do believe Mr. Ball intended to come tonight, yeah.
All right, why don't we hold off on that then?
Okay.
See if someone, it's Mr. Gold, see if he shows up. Okay, commission annual appointments, Trail Coordination and Management Committee. Janine, this was you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to continue doing that? or-
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. And then Community Preservation Committee, that was Jim.
Yeah,
Willing to do that for another year?
absolutely.
All right. And Ed, you're Open Space Preservation.
Yep,
You willing to do it for another year?
absolutely. I haven't had so much fun.
All right, can I get a motion to approve those appointments for another year?
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Themselves.
Okay.
You swear in.
All right, so Janine is the latest member to complete the MAC Wetland Fundamentals course. So congratulations, Janine.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, new hearings. Babinski, 15 Parker Point Road. This is a notice of intent for an addition. Good evening, gentlemen. I just got to read this before we get started. Hopkinton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 1st, 2022 at 7 o'clock at the Hopkinton Senior Center, 28 Navy Street, to hear all persons interested in a notice of intent filed by Robert Dubinsky to construct the porch addition and the deck. The location is 15 Parker Point Road, Assessors Map R11, Block 18, Lot 0. Good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Marquardt.
Joe Marquardt, joined by homeowner Bob Dubinsky. Bob owns number 15 Parker Point Road, down the end of Parker Point on the left. small residential lot. It's about 7,700 square feet. Shows up on a plan from 1919. The home was circa 1973. The spot is a residential use, almost entirely lawn. There's a stone retaining wall in the front, and then it slopes from west to east down to the rear boundary line, which is the tree line, and then further down to the edge of Lake Whitehall. In anticipation of this filing, we asked Scott Heim, Northeast Ecological, to take a review of the site. He identified the bank of Lake Whitehall as the resource, which I have highlighted here in blue, and the corresponding 50 and 100-foot buffer zones are also in the plan. The home is here in this orange color, and it's got a wraparound deck on the westerly and southerly sides. What Bob is proposing to do is to add an addition out the end of the home on the southerly side. That will be a family room on the first floor, additional bedroom on the second floor, and then to take the deck, turn a portion to screen porch, and then add a deck here on the southerly side. That work puts us inside the buffer zone here that I've highlighted here in yellow. It's a function of that house location. Makes the most sense to expand southerly, and we are existing 18 inches off the rear boundary line, the Commonwealth of Mass land. So we're going to push out in that direction, and it's a function of where the home was sited back in '73. The home has a crawl space now. There's an awful lot of surface rock in there. The hope is that we'll get a full foundation under the addition, but if not, there'll be another crawl space, and the porch and deck will be on footings of some type, Bigfoot, sonotube, something like that. All the work will be contained within this area here. I've highlighted the erosion control barrier, the straw wattles, and the sill fence. All the work will be contained within that location. There's not a dramatic amount of change we anticipate with the grading. The fill that comes out of that hole will be stockpiled temporarily up in here, the stuff that can be used again. The rest will be trucked off site as it comes out of the excavation, so there won't be large stockpiles on the site. And then as a wrap-up, we have shown the PIB here at the limit of work at the hay bales in two locations, one down here on the southerly side and one here on the northerly side. We anticipate the medallion signs on the posts.
Okay.
And I'm sorry. This work is very close to the rear boundary line. In no way is it anywhere near the zoning requirement at the rear, but Bob has sought and received a special permit from the Board of Appeals for this work. So as far as the Board of Appeals is concerned, we can move forward.
All right, great, thank you. Okay, Joe, did you have any, a couple comments that you had?
Yeah, no major concerns. The bank delineation looked fine. There was a missing flag, but it's a very straight line, so the flags that were out there were adequate to define the bank. I noted that PIBs were mentioned in the narrative, but I didn't see them on the plan. I know you just pointed out. Maybe I missed it on the plan, but apparently they're on there.
Right there, Joe.
Okay.
In the corner.
And then I also had a question on if there was going to be a soil stockpile. You addressed that in your presentation. And other than that, it was just a minor issue on several of the check boxes on the WPA form were not checked, but the information was provided.
Okay, so Joe, did we want to make a notation on the plan where the stockpile is going to go? We can probably just do that.
The contractor has indicated this is the access. This is a gravel parking area.
Yeah.
The access here is the access for the site work will be here.
Mhm.
Material will come out of that location. So this would be an area well outside the buffer zone with
Okay.
any material. And I have to imagine it's top dressing loom-type material rather than rock and stone. That is of no use to us. So temporarily, we could stockpile somewhere here.
Great. Okay, questions or comments from the commission?
I think I have an easy one, if I may. What's the distance between the two PID markers? I think there are only two indicated. It's leading to, should there be a marker in between those two?
We talked about that. The thing that comes back to me is we're right against the Commonwealth of Mass land. The employees, the rangers, are very active in policing that boundary line. I know from experience, my brother on the other side of Whitehall, they're up in his backyard every couple of months reminding him that they're right against Commonwealth of Mass land. So Bob can only move 2 feet, and then he's off property, and then he's in trouble with the rangers. So it seemed like overkill.
Okay,
Well, because there is another set of eyeballs on everything.
okay.
Any other questions or comments? Questions or comments from the audience? Tim, any final comments? No? Okay, if I can get a motion to close and approve the notice of intent as discussed,
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Okay, Mass Laborers Training. This is a portion of Clinton Street, a right-of-way for a notice of intent, gas line installation. Somewhat. Good evening. So Kim, I think we'll just open all 3 of these since they're going to be discussed as part of one project. So the Hopkinton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 1st, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. at the Hopkinton Senior Center, 28 Mayhew Street, to hear all persons interested in notice of intent filed by the Mass Laborers Training Trust Fund to install an underground fire suppression line with associated site work. The location is at 37 East Street, Assessors Map R20, Block 10, Lot 0. The second one is going to be for the installation of an underground gas line with associated site work. That is at Assessors Map R20, Block 10, Lot 0. Is the same location. The third is for an installation of an underground gas line with associated site work at the Clinton Street right-of-way from Front Street and ending between 82 and 66 Clinton Street. Good evening, Mr. Connors.
Good evening. I'm representing the Laborers Training Center. I have the 3 notices you've indicated. I'd like to start with an overview of the particular site. This is a map of the location. Laborers own 137 acres. There's Clinton Street here. We have East Street coming around here. That is a lot on East Street. This is the entrance to the site. We have a diagram now of the proposed gas line system that we are proposing. This is Clinton Street here, this red line. It goes into the laborers' site at this location, cross country, down through to where the Maloney Maintenance Building is. This is where the pond is. The building on the pond is at that location, and that's the dormitory. So that line will come cross country through behind the Maloney Building. At that point, it will be in what we call the campus proper, where work is taking place or had taken place over the years. It will go around the pond in the area where the driveway exists, and then across country to the dormitory building. As you may know, we have several projects underway with notices of intent at that location, and this is sort of an update showing the construction of one of the buildings there. There's another one that's under construction here, but of course this map isn't quite up to date. And our pipeline throughout the campus proper goes just like this along that driveway, and then it goes across the ball field area to the dormitory. There was a,
Can you see this for a second?
you can have them all. I have them on, oh, you,
Just got it.
thank you. They're up there now. I had thought this was a Zoom meeting, and so that is the location of the entirety of the pipeline. That first leg at the top that comes down, yeah, that's along Clinton Street, and then it comes into the property of a lot that they own. Then from there down behind the Maloney Building, although I show that as a straight line, in actuality, it has a few jogs on the plan that we'll see in a few minutes. It has a slight crossing of a wetland just behind the Maloney Building. If you move that cursor back up there, someplace right about there's a little tiny swale that goes and drains towards Clinton Street and Cold Springs Brook, which is, if you slide that cursor to the right, that a little bit more right to the street. That's about where Cold Springs Brook crosses the street. And we avoid that. There is a plan a little bit further down in the, that is our, that is a plan that was prepared by Gas Company and Standard Builders, the contractors out there. It shows the alternative location, which comes down Clinton Street and goes around East Street. That's a fairly long area, and then it enters the property. We're not choosing to use that. That's just our alternatives that was supplied using the right-of-way. There's a lot of work in the right-of-way, and we thought that between that and crossing Cold Springs Brook with its riverfront area was fairly substantial of an impact, and chose to come through the site, as you can see, with the line up along the property lines behind Clinton Street. So this is a little bit bigger plan, but I think it'll come up a couple more. Yeah, that should be it. So we see Front Street up in the right-hand corner of the plan. The gas line is in yellow. It's coming down along the now Front Street's down in the right-hand corner. So that's broken up in two. So it comes down along Clinton Street, and then we have the, yeah, let's start there. Let's leave it there for a second. So we come off Front Street and come down Clinton Street. You can see the two green areas. They are where we found some wetlands up adjacent to the road. They don't extend to the road. They don't cross the road with any drainage. And we're staying outside that in the edge of the roadway. If you look down, you'll see a match line, next house beyond it. Yeah, so then that is the last segment of it before it comes into the property that the laborers have there. So that's the street portion, and then when you come in from the street, there is our cross-country going down. You can see the wetlands that are depicted along there. And there is the crossing. You just crossed that. That's open kind of a swale right now. And that would be our crossing. And we come along to the Maloney Building, which is where the maintenance area is, and a small training facility. That's generally now going to be in a disturbed area. And from that particular point, disturbed area, I mean basically the campus proper. So at that point, we're in the campus proper in areas that have been used, and it follows along, and it goes into the driveway here. It goes right along the driveway, and at that point there, it's going to be directional drilled underneath the double box culvert that connects that green with the blue beneath the road. We drilled 4 directional drilling crossings for sewer, water, and electric and communications past spring, I believe. Those were done in 10 hours, all 4 of them. It's a very quick and easy process. There's enough room for these two new pipelines to go through, one being a gas and another being a water, which we'll get to in just a minute. But then from that crossing, it follows along through the open ball field areas, and it provides gas to all the various buildings up there and services. There are underground storage tanks on site that are experiencing the life cycle, and we're beginning to remove those. And we had one oil leak at the building on the pond, which has been monitored and pretty much cleaned up at this stage. So we'll be eliminating all of the oil tanks that are currently on the site. There are, as we get into the water fire protection system, there are 3 fire pumps for each one of those buildings which would supply fire suppression. And they're fairly large and would need a fuel oil diesel generator tank. So we'd be eliminating that, and this particular pipeline system would also be a little bit more economical on the entirety of the campus for the fuel, heating, and generator operations. Generators would generally start up and run for a small amount of time each week as an exercise. But in this particular instance, when we get to the next one, we'll only have one large generator for a pipeline system that goes around. So that's it there. And if you go up to the upper right-hand corner, you see the little yellow, that is a pump station that we would put in beside the parking lot for that building there. It is currently a little bit of a disturbed area, having been built several years ago. And what we propose is to have just one single pump system there that would charge a line that went out throughout the campus out towards East Street, and it would also go up and service the training building that's on the lower left of that particular map. That would have a directional drilled pipeline into the pond, the deepest portion of the pond, which is about just inside that little red V in the middle of the pond. That's about the deepest place. We looked at that, and that's about 15 feet deep. So we come up at that location and have a strainer to pull in water for that. The fire department has also asked us to provide a second directional drill line into the pond to feed the pipeline system near the box culvert where the green connects underneath to the blue. And that's so that the fire department can come down and hook a pumper on and charge the pipeline that goes out towards East Street for additional neighbor-wide fire protection, which probably would eliminate the need for the long continued dredging of the pond. We talked with the fire consultant, Maurice Follett, at some point this past summer. We don't like the pond. It is too small, and it gets pretty contaminated with the geese working out there. So we still have that pending, and we may withdraw that provided we can get this particular thing approved. There's 3 little red blotches on the plan near each of those buildings. They would be eliminated. They were the proposed fire pump systems for the project, which had previously been approved under notices of intent for all this work. So we would simply remove those and rely on this proposed system. I think that is about everything I'm prepared to say, other than respond to questions and comments and suggestions.
Okay. Thank
Oh,
you.
one other thing, can I?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you go back to the little small pictures, go 4 back? Okay, so that picture there, that's standing on the pavement beside the building where the pump will go, the big pump. So you can see, just to the right of that picture, you can see a little bit of a wall That's a retaining wall that holds up the parking lot there. And in that area there, we would put the pump system, which is a manhole, concrete blocks with a little shed above it. And that would have the area we would drill out into the pond. I included that picture to show that there's really minimal disturbance. That's just an area beside the angle of the pavement at that location. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Joe, did you want to run through your comments for us, please?
Sure. We're going to start with the regarding the delineation. The application notes that there's an ORAD for the site, which is in effect, my understanding is as it remains in effect. Typically, a copy of the ORAD is included with the application just for the record. So I'd recommend that. The two wetlands that would not be included with the ORAD are the ones on Clinton Street. I did look at those, and I think relative to the edge of the wetland relative to Clinton Street, those look fine. I do believe, in my opinion, that the wetlands run longer, further along Clinton Street than shown. However, they're showing erosion control extending all the way along Clinton Street, so I don't know that it's absolutely necessary that the whole thing be delineated, but it's pretty well defined toe of slope along the shoulder of the road. There are a number of missing flags or worn out flags. I would recommend that those be refreshed before anything happens out there. The application also notes the alternative that was shown previously. And I did question if there's another alternative possible. If you look at the property line that would come in further down Clinton Street, but not as far as going all the way where the site property again borders Clinton Street. It seemed like it would be a shorter length of disturbance, but and there would also be a stream crossing, seeing stream. I think that the impact would be similar and probably less buffer zone impact.
I know the site very well. There's a lot of wetlands down here. As a matter of fact, I think some of it's CR restricted from when we did the pond construction way back when in the early 80s. So along here, we really have no area to get in. The wetland associated in this area has been created by a lot of excavation in many, many, many years past.
Yeah, the area I
Well
was
before
referring
the
to, if I
laborers.
could just point up here.
Yeah, it's all, this,
So, rather than coming in at that location, coming in to this location along the property line here.
that's an area that had been CR'd back in the 80s to the town when we built the pond for swapping, compensatory debt.
Okay. I didn't realize it was CR there. It wasn't
Sometimes
noted.
in the 80s. Getting too old.
So that entire area there, Mr. Connors, all this has a CR on it, so you wouldn't be able to get access?
Quite a bit of it, quite a bit of it.
Can we just confirm that?
Sure.
That would be helpful.
Can you look at the town GIS wet?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, some of it's wet, I'm sure.
Yeah, there is some wetland back
Yeah.
there, but I look at, there was room between the property line and the wetland, at least, what was delineated.
We did respond to your,
Oh, you have? Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
you want a copy?
Sure.
No, I don't have
Yeah, and just for the record, it was received at 4 PM today.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah, we have time to look at it.
I would recommend also several plan details be provided where the resource area, where the proposed work is in close proximity to a resource area or crossing. So at the proposed stream crossing, I believe there should be a detail with the cross section so that the area can be restored properly to its original grades, and can look at what is actually being proposed as far as amount of disturbance. Same thing in the area where the line comes in from Clinton Street. There's a map for PVP, and I know it was noted in the application that the depth would not be deep enough to impact the PVP or the wetlands along Clinton Street, but I didn't see any detail sheet indicating how deep the trenches would be.
30 inches. It's on the plan somewhere. And we also included the gas company's requirements,
I saw the gas company, but
and that they
based
specified.
on pipe size, they
Yeah.
have depths, but.
Now, I
doesn't indicate on
believe
the
that
plan.
PVP is a old cellar hole.
It does look like it.
Yeah, and we're certainly above that.
Okay.
You know, it's fairly
Right.
deep, right?
So the trenches will be 30 feet deep, how wide?
30 inches.
30 inches. Just
Not
testing
even
to
our
make sure we
directional
understand.
drilling will be 30 feet.
Now, how wide?
I'd have to look. The width of a bucket, width of a rubber tire backhoe bucket. I'll find it. Go ahead, continue.
So again, a detail sheet where the horizontal drilling is proposed would be beneficial just to see what's happening there as far as depth.
Oh, that's going to be deep.
That'll be under, but
Yeah, that goes under, we've done that 4 times now. We've drilled underneath that box culvert 4 times. May or June. Took us 10 hours to do all 4.
it would be good to have plans showing the depth that's going to happen at, so that can be approved appropriately. I just did note that the plans didn't have the resource areas highlighted as required under the Hopkinton regulations.
With your colors.
I did note also that some of the work was noted in the application as limited project for public utility. I would just, I guess, request that that's clarified as far as what's being considered public utility, what's being considered a limited project, and what's not being considered a limited project, and what is public and private.
Can I answer that?
Sure.
Okay, the water line is being made available to the town fire department in case there's anything outside the campus. The gas line is coming down through the street for some distance, and people along Clinton Street are going to be able to tie into it. It also advances it some distance down. There's not a lot of users on Clinton Street below that. That's why we chose to come into the site. Cheaper to do it, and we can do it in the winter. 2 reasons for that. Eversource shuts down in town and requires that no work. You can't get hot mix. But inside the site, they will let us work all winter long, which is the best time in the world to do it if there's a PVP there.
So I think that makes sense. We'll open up to questions from the public in a few minutes. Just let the commission wrap up our deliberation first.
And just a couple of notes on Form 3. It was not noted that the work on campus some of the work on the campus was going to be in riverfront area. I think one of the notices had it, and the other ones may not have. Again, it is, I think all the riverfront area where it's going through is probably developed or disturbed area currently, but it should be noted that it is in riverfront area, and how much of the riverfront area is being disturbed. Also, possible disturbance of bordering land subject to flooding, which is not noted. Don't have the elevations there, so don't know exactly what will occur with that. and also land underwater for the directional drilling that comes up in the pond. Those should all be noted on Form 3. Also, it was noted that a stormwater report was attached to the filing. I did not see a stormwater report on Form 3.
You've had the stormwater reports for everything, there's really no additional impervious surfaces, but I'll certainly send you that, which is,
Maybe reference the actual report. It just says a stormwater report was submitted.
reference it along.
And lastly, we mentioned there's a number of ongoing projects on the site, open notices of intent. Thought it might be a good idea to have a table put together by the applicant as far as each project and the disturbance and alteration in each of the resource areas that is occurring, just to help keep everything straight.
Yeah, we're nearing completion. Should be able to get certificates within a year.
I think that, kind of,
Yeah, it would be good to get the kind of cumulative impacts for the site overall, so that, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, there's no problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
I would ask if we could allow the street portion of the gas to be voted on tonight, so we can try and get that in before paving is stopped for the season. I don't think we have any impact. I think that could easily have been done under a RDA for what impact it is. It's in an existing street. So if you'd consider that, that would be well appreciated by the laborers.
Unfortunately, I don't think we can do that. We can't parse it out.
Oh, it's a separate NOI.
Oh,
That's why we did it.
okay.
Yeah, we separated these out into three
Okay,
different-
right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so Kim, I guess if the fire department is going to use the water line for the public benefit and residents can tie into it, then that should meet the criteria for,
There's a lot to unpack here. You know, the regulations are always up for interpretation by the board. My recommendation would be the fire line may have some public benefit. The gas line in Clinton Street may have some public benefit. However, the gas line through the private property to service private buildings may not fall under that same exemption.
yeah, we'll have to think about that. I don't think we're going to have an answer tonight.
I would agree with what you said.
Okay. Let me open it up to questions or comments from the other commission members.
Through the chair, I'm curious about the extent of the tree clearing.
Can you go to the long cross-country one?
Pass those down.
Okay, we have proposed a minimum, I think, of 20 feet wide. Is that 60 scale? I think it's 25. Yeah, we're 20 to 25 feet wide, depending on where we are, along the interior of that. And then we have several little areas where we set staging. They have to bring in fusers and they have to have material to backfill the trench. So we have those little squares you can see off the side of the pipeline itself. Those are what we call for as staging areas for equipment and supplies. So we've minimized it throughout that area. We talked to the gas company to get the absolute minimum that they could work. The backhoe is going to be a rubber-tired backhoe or a mini, and they're going to have just enough room in that 20 to 25 foot wide corridor to dig the trench, put some material on one side, some material on the other side, and be able to fuse the pipe. It's going to be a long fused pipe and then dropped into the trench. So we've minimized that to the greatest extent we could. There are a lot of trees that will go down, but it's a fairly sparse area, and we can plant trees along the edge when we're completed, if that's necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of off of that, if I can ask a question,
Yes.
Mr. Chair. So will that then be an easement that'll need to be kept clear?
Yes.
You wouldn't want growth on top of that pipe,
Correct.
right? So they would continue to mow it once a year or something like that?
Correct.
How wide was that gonna be?
It's going to be 20 to 25 feet clearing, depending on the topography. And you can see it varies a little bit on the plan. It's narrower in here because we have those areas we're concerned with. A little bit wider when we get further in.
So 20 to 25 feet wide?
Yeah.
Seems pretty
It's
wide.
about a road.
Yeah. Does it need to be that wide?
Is that the length of this table, maybe, from Kim to me? Is that 25 feet-ish?
16,
I know not- I
Yeah,
don't know how
yeah.
big these tables are.
Roughly, they're roughly 8 feet, not including yours.
I think these are 5. It's like Main Street.
So 5, 10, 15,
I don't know if they have.
18?
Yeah, the backhoe is going to dig it. There have to be a loader that comes along and dumps sand in the trench to shield the pipe. And these machines are, a mini will be about 8 feet wide. That's the maximum you can put on the street, on a trailer to drive down the road. So right there alone is 16. And we need some room to put the material we dig out before we put it back in. So we do need that.
And then if I may, through the chair, after you replant trees, but you can't plant on top of the pipe, how wide will that swath be that needs to be maintained, would you guess?
12 feet.
12?
Yeah, we go through there with a brush hog, 5, 6 foot wide, up back.
And what's the distance of the portion that's going through the forested land?
About 2,000 feet.
Through the chair, could we condition that clearing to be planted with pollinator-friendly native plants? Still be cut, once a year?
The herbaceous?
I'm sorry, I am not a plant person, so I can't speak
No, I just,
specific.
I mean, where we're gonna mow
Yeah.
native. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
Get a wildflower mix or something
yeah,
like that?
sure.
I think I have another question.
Yes. Yeah, Melissa.
So just a question on the alternative of going down Clinton Street, and I know you said it's more expensive to go down the street versus through the woods in the time of year and whatnot, but it seems like there's a lot of neighborhoods down at the other end of Clinton Street. Is it not, is it not something that might in the future the gas company want to run that line further down Clinton Street for their own use?
No, they were gonna make us pay, we gotta pay everything.
Yep.
We gotta pay everything.
I'm just wondering if
So
in the
they didn't
future.
see enough customers to do it on their own.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if the gas company comes, I don't know, 5, 10 years from now and all of a sudden wants to put the gas line all the way down Clinton, and we could have avoided all this impact, to our resource area because it was going to go down there anyway.
Permanent impact to our resource.
Permanent impact, right? It may cost more in the short term, but long term, I don't know. It seems like gas is, more and more people want to have gas on their street.
Yeah. Okay, questions or comments from the audience? Yes, sir. Just name and address, please.
Yeah, Alex Gown, 92 Clinton. I think 92 is the oddly shaped lot there that Spurs point. Because we're set very far back, about 400 feet back from the street. And we bought that lot 25 years ago because it was so secluded in the forest. And it seems like we're going to get this line right behind us there. We saw a guy doing flags and asked him what was going on, and he explained it was this pipeline because the abutter notice seemed to be pretty much just saying it was going down Clinton Street, but it doesn't. It veers off and goes behind our place and several other houses. So it impacts us quite a bit in the sense of there's going to be clearing. I don't know if the pipeline's going to be in a berm or is it totally buried. You know, they often have little raised berms. No, it's going to be buried. So, I mean, is it possible to hook up as well? That's another question. If we're going to have the inconvenience, do we get the convenience of being able to get a gas service possible? Which would be obviously a good benefit, compensation. That's about it.
I will get that answer. I don't have that answer for you. It's going to be
The hookup possibility.
yeah.
He said that he'd have to get an answer to that question. He didn't know.
From the laborers, yeah. They own the land. And they will own the pipeline.
Did you hear him? You didn't hear the answer, George.
I'm sorry. They
Over
own,
here, behind you.
It's kind of hard to hear.
they
you
own the
because you're
land
talking away
and
from
they will own the pipeline. So I don't have that answer. I would have to ask their people.
Okay, well, that'd be a...
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I made note.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Paula McDonald from 82 Clinton Street. Yeah, I gave you guys some comments in writing, but you know, I hadn't seen the presentation yet, and you did discuss a lot of my concerns. But one that I'm wondering about in the first place is, why natural gas instead of taking this opportunity to, like, you know, be a leader in using geothermal or solar or other alternatives that don't involve such an environmental impact? And I think in the materials that I read, that I found online, I think the environmental impact was very understated. I'm pretty familiar with the area that this proposed pipeline would go right through, and it's very dense trees, and it's very wet, you know, year round. We've just had a drought. It's still soggy out there. Yeah, those are my two big ones. The wetland closest to Clinton Street is a very special frog habitat. What else? I just think it's a little, as proposed, I think it's environmentally irresponsible and a little short-sighted, you know, in terms of the big picture. But thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments from the audience?
George, I think you might have answered the question. What's the total length of this? Total length down Clinton and Clifton Half, and the length going through the woods?
About 1,600 on Clinton, 14 or 1,600 on Clinton, and 2,000 from Clinton through the woods to the Maloney building, which is the first building coming down in that open space. And there's another close to 2,000 throughout the campus. That red line that goes and feeds everything.
When's this project going to start, and how long do you think it would take? I mean, roughly, obviously.
It would take between 5 and 7 days to run down Clinton Street, and then we would be able to work in the woods through the winter, and that would only take, well, they say they can do close to 200 feet a day, but I think that is a little aggressive because of the clearing and the constraint with the width of our opening So I'm thinking that that 2,000 feet might take 20 some odd days.
Through the woods?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's realistic. Plus it'd be winter and it's a good time to do it in the woods. Good time to do it from the frog's perspective. And we're off the street.
What's the diameter of the gas line and the water lines?
The gas line will be either a 4-inch or a 6-inch. The water line is probably going to be a 6 or an 8-inch.
And they'll be side by side, presumably?
Yeah, for the gas line coming down, that 3,600 feet, it's by itself. There's no water. The water is simply from the pond going out in either direction to the various buildings. And yeah, there'll be, for example, in the area by the pond where we're going under, we've got a gravel driveway in that location. Some, I don't know, 16 feet wide. 40, 60 feet.
I guess what I'm getting at is, you know,
16 feet.
4 to 6 inch line and then a 6 to 8 inch line. And, you know, it's going to be a 25-foot wide area being cut through the woods. It just seems like a lot to me. And why can't it be much narrower than that?
Because you're going to have a pipeline that's dug, material piled on one side of it, clear on the other side, so a loader can come down and dump sand into the trench before the pipe goes in. Stay clear on that side so they can have the fuser and the pipeline laid. They have to fuse the pipe above ground and then set it into the trench in long segments. So 20 to 25 is the working width that you need. If you consider that the machinery itself to go over the road on a trailer can't be wider than 8 feet. There's 2 machines that have to go literally side by each. That's 16. And then we need material to be stored on the side where we dig the dirt out and set it.
But it's only 30 inches deep.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of material. It's probably about these.
I'm not a construction expert, but it just seems like there's a more efficient way to do it. Maybe it's might be more expensive.
That's a standard methodology. You watch them out in the street putting in the utilities. It's pretty much the same. They have to at least block off a lane and they have to land to the side, and that's all open. And we have to travel this stuff distances to bring it in with these various
I'm
materials.
just thinking that they're installing gas lines along Hayden Rose Street in town, and they're basically working in one lane.
Because the other is available when they have to come up with the refill material, sand. They'll stop the traffic so the loader can come up with the sand.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I also am not in construction, but it feels like if you're in a road, you want to get it done as quickly as you can.
Right.
If you're in the woods, you don't have to have the fastest method, especially if that means saving some trees and whatnot. We're not stopping any traffic by digging a trench in the woods. So why not slow down, not have 2 trucks next to each other, and find a way that saves more trees?
It's not that 2 trucks are next to each other, it's that you have an open ditch for a section that the backhoe has worked in, and now you have to come in and put some sand in, put the pipe in after you fuse it, and then put more sand over it to protect it, and then you can refill it. So when you open up that ditch, and it's 30 inches wide, you really need that room to do it.
Okay.
There's a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't East Street have
Just your
gas-
name and address, please.
Oh, Diane Reagan, 37 Front Street. Doesn't East Street have gas lines in there?
No, it doesn't. No, East Street doesn't have gas lines.
How come they have the gas? Candy
How come they have the what?
When you have gas, you have that white pipe that comes up like this, this curve. And then there's a line. Is that something instead of gas?
It could be.
It's weird.
Yeah, all new septic systems last, I don't know, 10 or 12 years now have to have vents on them. So that's probably it. But no, there's no gas in that area. We even looked at it on Laurel Canyon and, yeah, and this is all with Eversource, and the contractor.
Okay, Kim, do you have any thoughts?
I do. Two major points. The first one being that I definitely am interested in seeing that cumulative impact table, just because there is a provision in the Wetlands Protection Act that prevents piecemealing. So I guess I would just advise the commission that we want to make sure that all the projects together aren't exceeding performance thresholds. So that's important. And then the second comment would just be echoing what Melissa said. Basically, I am seeing that there is an alternative coming down Clinton Street and coming down East Street in the road that's significantly less impactful. And so far, what the applicant has told us for the reasoning not to do that is cost, one, cost, and two, seasonality, because they'd like to have this project done this winter.
I didn't hear your second.
Seasonality, because you want the
Oh,
project to be
yeah.
done this winter. and
Well,
the
that's
roads are above
inside, yeah.
code. Yeah. So that's just my feeling on that.
Okay. All right, so I think, there's a lot of information we need to digest here. I know that you had requested that the one notice of intent get approved tonight. I don't feel comfortable moving forward with that at this point.
May I make a comment on that?
Sure.
Notwithstanding that this is what we're proposing, in terms of went further down Clinton Street, that wouldn't change anything on that aspect of it. And I think clearly the extension of gas to this particular site eliminates an awful lot of underground storage tanks and the replacements thereof for diesel and oil heating for the buildings. So there'd be three, there'd be 6 buildings with underground storage tanks and 3 pump systems, or maybe 1 pump system. I think that clearly an environmental consideration.
No, I think, I get that. You did mention that there was a release from one of the underground storage tanks.
Yeah, the one in the pond, probably 6 or 8 years, maybe 15 years ago. It's in that patio.
Okay. Has that been closed out with the DEP?
It is just about to be closed out. Tom Williamson's been monitoring that. And once we pull those tanks, that'll be the end of it. You do know that there have been individual wells on each one of these buildings. And under DEP, they created an interim wellhead protection area. We put in a single well for the entire campus. And now we are able to eliminate those as potable water supplies and the IWPAs that are associated with it. So I think the labor has done a fairly good job in terms of looking at the environment overall. And clearly gas is would be a cleaner commodity to heat and run these various pumps.
No, I get it. I understand that.
I have a question on that,
Yeah.
breaking them into two. So you said 4 or 6 inch on the gas line. Is that still to be determined?
By the gas company, yes,
And that's based on the demand, the end user?
exactly.
So if you were to go the alternative down Clinton Street, they might want it to be 6 inches instead of 4 for potential future
Well,
extension?
I know there's a lot of houses up there, and gas can cross town lines,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't be surprised if it was a bigger pipe.
That would be my only hesitation with approving the portion is if,
I'm sorry, I can't.
That's a good point.
I would say that would be my only hesitation with, I don't have a problem with extending the gas main in Clinton Street, but my only hesitation would be on making sure that size is right, so that if they decided to go with the alternative that continues in Clinton Street, it's the right size, and we don't put in a 4-inch when it really
To
needs to
serve
be
other homes.
6 or 8, if,
No,
you know,
that's a
it
good
shifts
point.
and.
Right.
Chair,
Yes, go
we
ahead.
don't have the DEP file number either.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have a DEP file number, and that's a good point, Melissa, because if they went and put the 4-inch and then it was determined that it was gonna go down Clinton Street instead of through the, this proposed route that's on here, if they decided that they wanted to put a larger diameter pipe in, then you'd have to go back and potentially remove it, right?
Yeah, you would, but we don't see that as a potential. The cost for that in the street is triple, because we have to repair the street. And then the environmental impact for going across that area down by Cold Springs Brook becomes a much bigger impact area. It's not ours, it's on the town's street.
Okay. Yes.
And there's also the possibility for the other access, not going all the way down Clifton Street. That was going to be looked at as far as whether it's viable or not.
Potentially.
Well, again, I couldn't hear that, I'm sorry, Joe.
There's also the other potential access coming off of Clifton Street, a little bit further down, where there may be a CR or may not be.
Is that between 128 and 132 Clinton? Is that where the CR may be?
Here, right?
What about a little
Correct.
further? Go to the next bump out if you would. Right, what about there? That's what I'm looking at right now on my computer.
Now, I think that one may, I'm sorry, through the chair.
Yes.
That one may require crossing Cold Spring Brook coming in. So,
Okay.
Those wetlands are nowhere near the right side, but they're an indication that there's wetlands there. And if you've been out there, I know that the wetlands goes right up to Clinton Street in that little U area.
Through the chair.
Yes.
If I could just ask for clarification, Mr. Connors, why is crossing Coldstream Brook in this location in the street more impactful than crossing it on the site in this location?
Because we control the site and we're directional drilling under it where we've already directional drilled. We know the material under there. We've had
Geotech data.
Yeah, we had ground penetrating radar, I'm sorry, in there. We know exactly what we're up against. And as I said, we've done 4 crossings in that area in 10 hours, just over a day. If it hadn't rained the first day, we probably would have been able to do it in a day. So we know that area. It's not in the street. We shut that whole area down while we're doing construction. It's already disturbed, and it had permits for 4 already. We know what the culvert is. We know its depth. We don't know a whole lot about what's under the culverts at Clinton Street.
All right, so we'll continue this out, these 3 hearings, just so we can get a better handle. I mean, this is a lot to digest.
plead one more time for the Clinton Street aspect. The pavement's gonna stop pretty soon. Just one last big.
And I'll open it up to the commission members.
Yeah, I don't know that we can without the file number either, right? I mean,
Can't without the file number.
so it's really not.
I believe you can close pending receipt of it. I believe you can. I've done that before.
Have fun reprimanded from DEP for closing before receipt of the file number.
I can't hear.
You get the slap from DEP for doing that.
We don't want to get Kim in
Slap on the
trouble.
hand from the boss.
I'll take the
Just
blame.
came back.
I
All
know.
right, well, we'll continue it out for the next meeting.
When is that?
I apologize. So it's November 15th, 2 weeks. All right, thank you, Mr. Connors.
Live again?
Next meeting will be live, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Snow, 80 Pine Island Road. This is a notice of intent to reconstruct a single-family house.
I'm waiting for the cartoon the whole time.
Hopkinton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 1st, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. at the Hopkinton Senior Center, 28 Mayhew Street, to hear all persons interested in a notice of intent filed by Stephen Snow to raise and reconstruct a single-family house with associated site work. The location is 80 Pine Island Road, assesses map R33, block 15, lot 0. Good evening.
Good evening. So do we want to take this from, we did the informal approximately, probably what, 40 days ago.
Yep.
So you don't need to see the pictures of the burned down house anymore, correct? We're good with that?
Yep, we're good on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we took guidance first to get a letter of intent, which the board came to us and said they wanted a full forms completed. So we hired Mark Renaud to do our prep work because it's a little above my pay grade. So the work done is from Mark Renaud with the site plan and the full filing. So we already have got, the zoning board of appeals has already passed us as far as to change the footprint to the 22 by 28 instead of the broken up set of additions that we used to own.
Okay.
So that's already been passed. And that's it. We're looking to put the house there. I mean,
Okay.
everything's non-conforming. We know that.
Yep.
We've talked with the Board of Health about the well, and he feels confident that that will be fine.
Okay.
I don't have a well drilling company, so I can't get a permit till I have a well drilling company. But that's in the works.
Okay.
And the septic system is existing. It's all been approved. It was approved in 2001 when we bought the property.
So that's not changing?
So that's not changing. We're just going to do a reconnect to where it's burned off at ground level. Same thing with the pump, for the pump chamber. We're just going to find the wire where it burned off at the ground, recover it, and bring it into the new foundation.
Okay.
So that's where we're at.
All right.
I know some people had said about some trees. There's 2 trees that are thermally burned enough that they're not going to survive. They're toast.
Okay.
But other than that, other than some azaleas in the front of the building that we're just going to move and then put them back when we're done, there's no trees going to be taken down.
All right, so Joe had a couple comments based on his review. Joe, did you want to walk through those for us?
Sure. I noticed that there were no actual resource areas delineated on the field. Edge of lake is shown on the site plan, which is actually the top of the bank, inland bank. It's again, it's well defined. It's a stone, riprap or stone wall for the most part. I did note that there is hydric soil and wetland vegetation in the area between the lake and the house.
We did so in 2000, 2001, we did a full wetland vegetation for we built 78 Pine Island, and we renovated this property with an addition. So we did all the wetland studies, that's on file. And because through Kim, we said we were going to use the old filing, which had a lot of the groundwork done on it. And then just with the new site plan and the new structure.
So if it was agreed to use that plan, then I have no further comment on that.
So I guess my question would be, you know, that was 20 years ago. You know, 20.
God hasn't changed the dirt.
Can I comment?
Yes.
Sorry. I think, you know, I think we had a misunderstanding on the site. You know, I had recommended that you work off of the old plan and, you know,
Yeah.
contact the old engineer.
Who's dead?
Didn't realize that, sorry.
He's sorry, he's
Or the old
deceased. They all
company,
died
you know,
within a
you
year
need
on my project.
To,
The excavating contractor, his partner, and the engineer all
Never gone on
passed.
his property.
kind of start with the information that you already had, but not necessarily that the old plan could
Well,
pass
I mean, this is the
today.
new plan, and, I mean, it's a tiny, tiny piece of dirt to put the house on, but it did have the house on it before, which took up more. We've backed off 2'4" from the lake in the front, and 2'4" on the side, to make a 28 by 22. The current's like 24'4" or something. So we've brought it back from the water the most we can. And I almost couldn't find someone to design a house that small. They didn't want to do the project. No one in Hopkinton wanted to do it. It's not big enough.
Okay, so why don't we move along then, Joe?
Just a couple of notes on the Form 3. Again, a couple of check boxes were not checked, although information was provided. Latitude and longitude were not provided. That should be recommended, provided for the record.
I thought that was.
It's administrative, it's pretty minor.
Administrative, yeah.
It might have been done on when I tried to start doing it and realized that I was not capable of filling out the form completely, and I had Dave do it for me, so.
So I think it was mentioned that the proposed structure is generally in the same footprint, but is proposed somewhat larger than the existing structure at the three corners, square it off. Would recommend that the commission discuss whether the project meets the pre-existing lots exemption under the bylaw, and whether any mitigation.
No, how would that be, meets the criteria? I had a house there that burned down. So you're saying if it burns down, I can't build back there?
No, you can't.
Right, but not enlarging. So
Okay, but it's coming back from the water, it's just, so if I build the existing, which I could have just got a
No, I think,
building permit
I think
for
we're
it.
good with that. So
Okay.
it's a little bit larger, that's fine. You're pulling it back away from the water, so I think you're okay there.
And I think the last question was on the existing dock and whether or not there's a check or 91 license for the dock.
So the docks have all been there before I was there. They're,
Yep. And also.
the 78 has a dock, 80 has a dock. The docks have been there since forever. There was no going to the board for anyone in town for docks until fairly recently. And when we purchased it from my grandparents, my brother, who's in the industry, looked into it and said the penalty for not having a dock permit is get a dock permit. But, I mean, but in other words, so the only people that had dock permits in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts were docks for rowing on the Charles River, the docks in Boston. The ponds and lakes in this state did not have them when those docks were installed. So, if you want me to file a permit, I'll gladly do it later, but I'm looking at, I need to dig a hole this winter or I'm screwed.
And my last comment, which Kim just reminded me, was that there's no erosion control barrier indicated on the plan. That should be.
So that was on the original plan, that's what we had. And maybe I misunderstood, but I thought we said we could, because it's gonna be exactly the same spot. Currently where the septic system is a garden that we're not gonna disturb. We can't drive equipment over it anyways. So from the septic tanks to the edge of the inlet of the water that is on the right side is a garden. Then my driveway in front of the sheds would be really the only, we just don't have a lot of room to stage materials. We're bringing them in as we use them.
Okay. I think we would want the erosion controls just depicted on the plan. You could mark it on and do that.
Yep.
You know, and that's just to prevent any kind of sedimentation, you know.
No,
excavate.
absolutely, I know, I already have the guy hired to put it down.
Okay.
I already have my excavating contractor, so.
So we just need to show that on the plan, essentially. And if you want to hand draw it in, you can do that.
Okay.
With regard to the bank area where Lucas had observed the hydric soils and vegetation, I guess this is a question for the commission. You know, with new construction, we've been typically, you know, the ask is to put kind of a vegetative barrier, you know, just along the bank there.
Like where after we're done, or?
Yeah.
Because right now it's covered with blueberry bushes. That's what's basically the primary is blueberry bushes. Most of them, those blueberry bushes are all planted by our family.
They looked like they were planted.
Yeah.
But there was hydric soil in that area also.
Okay. So you think that,
And that's all ledge cap. That's probably what I'm gonna hit when I put a shovel on the ground. Like everybody in Hopkinton, there's a lot of bones on the ground.
and that vegetation is going to remain?
Absolutely. We might, there's azaleas in the front of the building, and right on the front of the house, but they're gonna have to get moved. It's gonna be in the,
We're gonna keep them,
we're just gonna
move
stage
them.
and move them and put them back.
All right, I'll open it up to questions from commission members.
I mean, it's not being on the site, but just looking at the pictures, those bushes I think are great.
Yeah,
Buffer,
they're-
I mean, that's a natural, that's kind of what we're looking for,
Yeah, I didn't
what they already
realize-
have there.
I didn't realize that those were already there.
In the picture that you had, the back is the garden, which, that's where I grow my food, so I'm not gonna wreck it, not gonna drive over it, and my septic tanks are under it.
That looks like a pretty good shoreline to me.
Yeah,
I wish we saw a lot more of that.
yeah.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Yeah, so I would say, you know, as part of the process, we just check to see, you know, if a permit was ever submitted for the dock, you know. if-
I know there wasn't. I can guarantee there wasn't.
Yeah, that's not.
1970-something, my grandfather got Conservation Commission approval to fill in a little spot that had eroded. And I have all of those records at my house, and you probably don't have them in town now, but from that far back, but
Offsite.
but that's the only disturbance until we bought the property in 2000, and we renovated the little cottage, and then we tore down the original cottage and built our house. So all the septic plans, all of that stuff is all complete, engineered, and was signed off then.
Mhm. So we can do an,
In the area
we
of-
can do an after the fact,
The air-
submittal of the permit application, right, Kim?
For the dock?
Chapter 91.
Yeah, absolutely. With
I'll
chapter
just do them for
91.
both houses when we're done, that's fine. I mean, if, now that but it's never been required.
So, under the Chapter 91 program, they encompass what's called Great Ponds
Yeah,
and Masconach's Great Pond. There's only a
Correct.
handful of them in the state.
Yeah.
So because has that Great Pond designation, it's in the Chapter 91 program.
okay.
For small residential docks like this, they have a small docks and piers permit,
Mhm.
which is more of
Yeah,
It's an
because the original
administrative
dock
permit.
permits are signed by the governor.
Yeah, yeah. So
Was
in
that
my
John
experience,
Quincy
there is that requirement.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we can do that after the fact. The main thing is to get ourselves in a position that we have a lengthy drawdown this winter, which makes digging incredibly easier and better for the environment. We're not gonna have water in the hole. And if I can get that accomplished before spring, then building the house on top of it is got no environmental.
What's the total depth of the excavation?
It's like 3'6". It's very shallow. To the, we're gonna do is we did to the 78 Pine Island property is we dug the excavation. We put 5-inch trap rock in it as a base, something that allows the water to come in and out. And then we're gonna have 3'6" is from the top of the footing to the top of the foundation. It's very small crawl space. There's no room for a basement there.
If you do need to dewater, what's your plan for that?
Yeah, I know we won't. I know the
You
water.
do, just in case.
Well, my plan
Yeah.
to de-water is obviously I'll have to set up a silt pond and with hay bales and pump it to that, which we can do. I mean, and we can call you if we feel there's a problem, we need to do that, but
I have to ask that question just so you don't say I'm
No.
not.
No, I know how to do
Stick
it.
it straight in the lake and see you later.
I mean, I know the previous guy that was up here, I know a lot about digging trenches and doing that work, but I'm trying to get me through here, not him.
Yeah, I would just say if if you run into a situation where you're excavating, you need to
Yeah,
de-water.
and we'll probably have to do that when we do drill the well anyways. We'll probably have to set up a silt catch for doing the well. That's pretty common on the lake now. When we did 78, we didn't, but a lot of the other neighbors, I see that they're pumping, if they have to pump the water
Drill it.
when they drill,
That's lovely.
to basically control the tailings. But that's also going to be, the plan is finish our approvals, get the old house in a dumpster and over to Harvey, and he can sift through and do what he wants with it. And then to get the well in, and then dig the foundation, get the well pipe in, get the septic and the electrical to the pump back into the new foundation. Get that all backfilled long before spring hits.
So perhaps we should see an erosion and sedimentation control, not necessarily plan, but something depicted on Mark Woodon's plan for how that might be addressed, the drilling spoils.
Okay.
The drilling backwash as well.
Okay.
For permitting the well as part of this.
We can do that.
Okay, so if you can add that,
Yeah, the silt barrier protection.
and then the erosion control, the erosion controls
Control.
and the dewatering detail.
Because we're gonna do the well before we do the foundation, the plan would be to do it all on, in other words, only disturb that piece of dirt. Not pump it out to the edge of the road or somewhere else in the yard to make a mess. Confine the work to that space.
My only other recommendation to the commission would be, if you do want to approve this project, that we not confirm wetland boundaries on the site, just because we don't have flags, and we are also suspicious that there's adjacent BBW, so.
Yeah, pretty
We have
obvious,
to do
though.
this without confirming.
What's that, Jim?
It's pretty obvious though, right? So,
But they're not marked on the plan, so.
oh, on the plan then, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
They weren't officially delineated.
Although it's still pretty obvious.
Okay. So we'll have to continue this out, Mrs. Snow, anyways, because we don't have the DEP file numbers yet to the 15th. So if you can get that plan into
So you're
us
gonna
to
continue with what, to the following meeting?
the next meeting.
You're gonna push me off into a position that we might not be able to get it done.
We need to get this house down. You know how awful it is pulling in your driveway, seeing your burnt down house.
Yeah.
It's all been
So-
almost a year.
I mean, I
It's
feel
like
that
awful.
we basically brought to you what we were asked to last time.
You did, but
And
we don't
that-
have I mean, this is the same reason that we didn't consider the applicant before. We don't have the DEP file number.
Well, I'm not cutting 2,000 feet of friggin' woods down to 25 feet wide to do this.
I get it.
So,
Well, can you
Jeff,
start taking the
so we
house
can't
down
close something without the file number?
What's that,
We
Jim?
cannot close without a file number?
because Mr. Marquardt had suggested that if we passed the project to have you sign the paper today, which would get the timeline moving, so we could get this done in, we're basically faced with winter. This is the only time we really want to dig near the lake. It's the safest for everybody. It's the safest for me. I won't have issues with water.
I got it.
So the further it gets pushed out, and then if we get frozen ground, which it's friggin' frozen there in the winter, then you're faced with more mess. It's not as clean.
My poor mother has to live with us for another year.
Yeah. It's the worst part.
I love my mom. She's getting excited to have her own space again.
Yeah, no, I think, I think from what you've heard tonight, if you submit the plan, we're gonna vote on it at the next meeting. I can't tell you what the outcome is. I don't know what the other members are gonna vote, but my sense is that this will pass. So I would say that, you can start clearing the site, the debris and stuff like that, get the dumpster out there and move the process along. That way, when we vote on it and approve it at the next meeting, it'll be good to go.
Like we could tear it down?
I think so, right, Kim? They can tear the building down.
Because
Would be
my
so
excavating
wonderful.
contractor is the same contractor who's putting the silt fence down.
I
And
would
we,
say as long as dirt isn't being.
we're not gonna move dirt. There's, obviously there's the cinder block foundation and there's some concrete pads and stuff like that, but we're not gonna be digging a hole. We can't dig the hole, we have to drill, it's a tiny lot. We have to do everything in order or
Yeah,
it
so
can't
you can
happen.
take the house down, you can put the silt fence up, the erosion controls, as long as you're not excavating anything.
Yeah, we don't plan on doing that.
So you can get rolling with that over the next 2 weeks, and when we approve it at the next meeting or vote on it, then you'll be able to start the excavation.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
that does make sense.
Kim, you good with that?
Deanna, can you put us on the next meeting? Please?
Just for information.
She's been very helpful too.
The reason why
Thank
we
you.
don't close before DEP is just in case DEP has comments or is going to deny the project. If they want to deny the project, the commission loses their local jurisdiction. And they have to hand the
So when do I get the
jurisdiction over
DEP
to-
number? It's already been sent, correct? So,
I would call them. They've been slow.
well,
I would
it's the
text
state.
them. Sorry? Yeah,
It's
I
the
know,
state.
but they've been slower than even usual. You should have had it
Yeah.
by now. I've been trying to bother them as well.
Okay.
They've been slow with talking to me for some reason
All right.
lately.
I'll
yeah.
touch base with you tomorrow maybe and get some phone numbers to people to call.
A phone call to them usually really helps the process.
Maybe we
Okay.
just call every day.
There you go.
Twice a day.
Yeah, it's a couple times a day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
All right,
I
thank you,
appreciate it.
folks.
Thank you for
You're
the help.
Thank you.
Yep. And if you can just have Mr. Marquardt submit that plan.
Any butters?
Yes. Questions? Okay. Sorry, I forgot to ask that.
The abutters were here last time, just to see what the process was, because they all have work coming up.
I just asked it so that way it's a technicality.
All right, I appreciate it.
Dave, that's why we pay you the big bucks.
All right, is Mr. Gold here from 56 Downey Street?
Yeah.
Come on up, sir. How are you doing this evening?
Good over you.
Good, thank you. Okay, so Kim, do you want to give us an overview of where we're at with this?
559 Dowdy Street?
Yep.
56, not 59, it's 56 in Stevens. So we had a cease and desist issued, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. American Farmers was out there, and they were observed kind of flaring from the top to the bottom. Early in the summer, Anna and I had gone out to the site at Mr. Gold's request, and we looked at all the trees on his property and did a exemption letter based on which trees were deceased or risk trees and which were vital trees. So tonight, at the last hearing, the commission asked that I draft an enforcement and restoration order, so I have done so, and I can go through that at your request. And Mr. Gold reached out to me and we discussed the situation, and he also would like to speak with the commission about his future plans for the property. Given the cease and desist, and just make sure that we're kind of all on the same page again.
Okay, great, thank you, Kim. So you understand the situation with the trees?
Yeah, I did. So basically, it was a confusion between the contractor and me.
Okay.
So by the time I reached, nothing could have been done. I live in Burlington,
Okay.
so I couldn't come over there. So whatever the trees, me and him talked about it, and she says that I have to do like replace with 2 of them for 1 extra tree cut. I'll replace with 2 of them, and basically I just wanted to, if I'm coming in front of the Conservation Commission for everything, so I'll even come for the dock over there. There's no dock currently over there, so I would like to have the dock as well. And just for the board's knowledge, when I'm standing, my property is 40 feet wide. There are lots which are like 60 feet wide or 100 feet wide, but none of them have any trees in the front towards the lake. None of them. If you look at 54, you look at 52, 50, 48. If I go on this side, 58, 60, 62, any number on the street where I can look from. Only trees are present is on my lawn, that's it. And as we are living on the lake, obviously everybody would like to have a view of the lake. I'm being very honest, I'm being straightforward. And there are like few trees, and those are the trees that like, currently there are like 6, 7 trees still left. So we have 13. So we have 16, 17, 18, 19, 15, 14, and 13. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And I got permission to cut most of the trees. Accidentally, they cut like a couple more trees. But even the tree number 13 is very close to the house, and it had a branch fell over on number 58, the small house which you can see the line over there at the bottom. Number 13, like had a branch fell over this summer, the past summer, and that needs to go. 14 is a dead tree. You already gave me permission to cut that. And I'm not increasing the current footprint of the current house, which is existing right now. The deck is also within like 3 feet of the limit of the existing house. I do have the proposed plans with me, if the board members want to look at it.
I think I'm fine with what we have up here, but thank you.
I don't think I've seen the proposed plan, so I would love to see it.
Oh, this is the proposed plan?
Yeah.
Yes, proposed plot plan.
Yeah, that'd be helpful to see, actually. Thank you.
I have multiple small copies. This is a big house. Anybody else?
Is that the same as this?
Yeah, it's same as this.
You get the bigger.
I got photographs on that.
So there isn't a filing currently right now for this work, is that correct, Tim?
That is correct. This is the first time I'm seeing this tonight.
So this is
This was already approved by Board of Appeals in August.
Okay.
In August, this has been already approved by Board of Appeals. I'm in a process to file the building permit tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And before I start the work, I just wanted to tell you that I'll have the silt fence all around the boundary, all the way down to the 50 yard from the lake.
To the 50-foot buffer?
Yes. and wattles in front of them.
That's what I had to go see. So a portion of the deck is in the buffer zone.
Which is even smaller than the proposed existing deck I have right now.
So you're pulling that back?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And that's lawn area right now?
that's the lawn area in the front.
Are you requesting any of those additional trees that are remaining be taken down?
I wanted to request only one tree, which is right in the middle, number 15. That's the only tree I'm requesting.
Yeah, I think, so would you be amenable to, if you take that one down, putting a couple other smaller ones in, like along the sides?
Yeah, you know, where the stairs are coming, over there in the existing plan, the steps coming right here. So
Yeah.
along this side, on these side, all the way down, I'm trying to put like 10 to 12 evergreens, like to have a buffer between the
Screening type vegetation?
Yeah.
That's not in our 100-foot buffer, though.
Yeah.
That's like not in our,
So do you want me to put further down?
Yeah, so if you were gonna take out 15, I think the commission, you know, would consider that, but we would ask that you would plant a couple of other trees down along the bank of the lake. You know, either to the south or to the north, you know, along the property boundaries.
Okay.
Does that sound okay to everyone?
Redwoods, Sitka spruce.
You know, I know that you had told us earlier that a lot of your neighbors don't have trees. And that's actually something that the commission has been addressing as filings come in before us, you know, for new construction like this. We're trying to, you know, what we're asking folks to do as part of new construction is to put a vegetative barrier in along the lake bank, because that protects the lake itself, you know, from sediments washing in, salts, you know, herbicides, pesticides. It provides bank stabilization, you know, so that you don't
What
get
I can
erosion.
do in that case is, like, what I can do is, I can put like 1 feet of, like a wall just before that, and so that nothing goes in the lake, and put some like stones in there, being a decorative thing, as well as stones, so that the water doesn't, anything doesn't sediment and go all the way into the lake.
I mean, you could do that if you wanted to. That would require a filing with us.
Oh, okay.
But what I'm suggesting is if you put the couple trees in, either on the southern or the northern property boundary, you wouldn't need to do a filing for that.
Okay.
But, you know, if you wanted to put a wall in, you're more than welcome to.
No, I'm not willing to do that. I was I'm just asking, you know, I'm trying to help.
Yeah, no, so, you know,
So,
so the point I was making is that, you know, there have been trees that have been cut down. You know, unfortunately, people do work, they don't always come before the commission, or work's been done 10, 15 years ago. So, you know, we're trying to take a more proactive approach when new filings are coming before us to try to establish that vegetative barrier, you know, along the bank, and have people put trees in and plant some blueberry bushes and those types of things. So hopefully,
willing to
if
do
you're a
that.
long-term resident, you know, you'll see some of your neighbors coming in before us and, you know, putting trees in and things like that, so. You have a question, Melissa?
No, I'm just looking at it and it really wasn't lawn area before. Was it? Or
It
do you
was
have
a lawn
pictures of
area.
lawn?
because they have the, you know, I think so they have,
Where the deck is, you mean? Oh,
Well,
down-
I mean, the whole,
Oh, right, right.
everything.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
buffers.
this like was lawn area where the deck is, right?
No, everything was a lawn area.
I was concentrating on the trees last time, sorry, but we have some photos. It was really a
If I can send you a
poorly
picture.
managed lawn area. It just had been not
Overgrown, yeah,
overgrown
okay.
enough.
I mean, like, there's like still like a swing and everything from the previous owners behind those trees.
Yeah, okay.
It was a lawn area before,
Here's the house.
and there was swings and everything over there.
Yeah, it looks like it
Gotcha.
just got overgrown.
And like the previous owner did not take care of it, and that's why these trees were overgrown.
Okay. Any
Chair,
questions from the
I
commission?
have a question
Yep.
and/or comment or two. I wonder, Kim, first, could you help me again with what trees were approved to be removed and what ones did get removed? I didn't save, in fact, I gave it to a abutter, my map last time.
1 to 7 were approved, and
1 through 7 were.
1
is
to
that true,
7 were
Kim?
approved, 11 and
hold on.
14.
Exemption request.
They're not numbered on this map.
No, but they are on
On our list.
here, the map that we were seeing.
Okay, so 1 through 7, 11, and 14.
And are all of those gone at this point?
No.
No. Where did mine go? So a total of 4 mature trees were removed without a permit.
And which were those? Do we know?
Anna, can you help me out? Anna was the one who went out. It was
It was 8 and 9.
8, 12, 10, and 12. Okay.
8, 9, 10, and 12 were removed
Yep,
without approval?
yes.
All right.
8, 9, 10, and 12, yep.
So, for myself, speaking obviously only for myself, I'm not so ready to say go ahead and remove 15. I don't think it's true that the neighbors don't have any trees. I'm looking at satellite images and I see plenty of trees in the backyard. From the photo we see from where the house is, I think that's a beautiful lake view with trees there. And I'm not ready to say that trees from the back of the house to the lake should be cut down for a view, even if there are extra ones planted on the side. I think the root systems in the lawn provide soil retention. They provide ways to make sure stuff doesn't get to the lake. And I'm not ready to say chop down a healthy tree just because it's not an unobstructed view from the back of the house. I do like the idea if trees are removed, particularly without permission, that they get replaced in abundance. But the neighbors do have trees. That's simply not true, that the neighbors don't have trees in their backyard. I can see the photo right here. And the photo that we have up there shows a beautiful lake view that includes a tree. And you can see the lake glinting through the trees. So I'm not as ready to say, sure, chop down more trees, even if they are replaced. If the rest of the commission disagrees, then yeah, I would insist that we are replacing at a number greater than we are removing. But I don't think I would vote to approve removing 15, particularly after the other ones have already been removed without our permission.
Through the chair,
Yes.
as a person who lives on a lake, I like the zen sort of view that we get of seeing the lake poking through the trees, especially when the ice first goes out in the spring, in the morning, where you get this sparkly through the trees that we see then, but we don't see otherwise. So I sort of echo what Ted says. I think there is a fabulous book called A Pattern Language, which is a book about living spaces. And they talk about views and view sheds. And I really wish people would read up on that. Thank you.
Okay.
I think I need some clarification on what's being asked of us right now. Are we asking for more trees to be taken down right now or not?
I'm just saying that one more tree, I'm not asking for too much.
One tree?
One tree. And I
There's-
planted 2 more trees.
In addition to
it's
4.
not-
There's a
And
couple
it's supposed to be
things
taken
floating
down.
out
Yeah.
right now. The first is the ERO to be voted on. The second is tree number 15. I would say the third is, I'm seeing this plan. Unfortunately, I didn't have the chance to review it when it went through the ZBA. I'm seeing this plan for the first time tonight, and I'm seeing that the 100-foot buffer is kind of just touching the deck, the proposed deck. So I think the commission needs to advise Mr. Gold if he needs a permit application for that work. And then also, we've been talking a little bit about a dock, and so.
In case, like, if I get approval today, I wouldn't go for a dock for now.
You won't, or you would?
I would not go for a dock.
I mean, you can at any point.
I know.
It's just that would require an application.
Application, and it'll be like 3 months more delay in the project.
Sometimes we say when in Rome. If the commission advises you tonight to have an application for the house project, it might be worth it to add on the dock. You have 3 years to complete the work, and you
Okay.
can also apply for extensions, so then you would just have to get 1 permit instead of 2.
Okay.
That's my advisement. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so why don't we, thank you, Kim, that was a helpful overview. So why don't we first vote on the enforcement and restoration order, and having that formalized. Kim had issued it.
And that encompasses the 4 trees removed, being replaced by
Correct.
8 somewhere along the.
Along the bank area, right, Kim?
Yeah.
Is
And what was the verbiage we used last time? Trees of substance?
So
Is
it's
that technical?
culture,
Yes.
8 mitigation trees for 4 that were taken down without permission. I went with 5 feet in height or 2-inch caliper that can be changed if you guys would like. And then I required that the trees be planted within that 50 feet zone. And native non-invasive species, I can give you a list to help out. And then a deadline of May 15th, 2023, because it's kind of getting late this season, so I figured spring might be better planting season.
I would say maybe we increase the height and caliper a little bit, Kim. I mean, like 5 feet's not really that high, considering the size of the trees that were taken down. And what's your guys' sense on that?
I'm in agreement.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm almost thinking, like maybe 3 or 4-inch caliper. Is that too big, you think?
That'll be too big. Bring it out all the way down. You'll have to bring the crane in to bring those trees.
Yeah, so 3-inch caliber.
Probably like a 7 or 8 foot.
Yeah, I was gonna say 8,
3-inch caliper, yeah.
8 foot.
That feels better to me.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to motion to approve that change and issue the ERO.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
There you go.
Okay. So the second order that Kim had outlined was the removal of tree number 15. So I think Ted and Ed have made their positions clear.
If I could ask, what is tree number 15? Like,
Yep.
how big is it? What kind is it? It's healthy, I assume.
Tree number 15 is not nice and healthy. It's dying.
It's a red maple.
Kim, it's dying tree. I have a picture of that. It's clearly dying.
And appears to be healthy according to our information.
So I will caveat, I am not a certified
Agreed.
arborist. I have, I'm dangerous. I have training, a little bit of training after college, looking at trees, but certainly,
At the bottom of it, you can see the vine climbing up all the way.
An arborist may be helpful if there's some questions about the tree. would be helpful to have a.
Mr. Regan left a while ago.
Can you just take a couple closer pictures of that tree and send it to Kim for us?
I'll do that.
Then we can, you know,
Do we have a tree warden? Just
It's John Westerling, yeah.
it's John
I mean,
Westerling.
have him go look at it, right?
bigger
Ca-
than
If, I mean, he's busy.
Not on private property, he won't.
Oh, he won't.
Yeah.
I guess
I mean, if you can take a couple pictures, if it looks like it's hollowed out, I think we can make it.
It is all hollowed out. I saw that, pretty close to it.
All right, and then we can talk about that at the next meeting. And then, you know, the deck, as it's presented here on the plan, is extending into the 100-foot buffer zone.
But it's smaller than the pre-existing one.
No, I know you're pulling it back, but nonetheless, it's still in the buffer zone, so, you know, that would require an RDA to be submitted.
Okay.
You know, if you want to pull it back, I don't know what the scale is in this.
It's 12 feet wide. It's 12 feet.
I mean, if you wanted to pull it back to 10 feet, it might pull it out of the buffer zone.
Is there I can suggest a suggestion for that? I mean, like for the deck, mostly you require to put like, I can put a techno post, which is like not disturbing the ground. It just goes like a post, which goes straight like a nail, like a screw.
Yep.
Down, and we can place the thing on top of that instead of digging the whole thing to avoid, you know, any land disturbance. So it's like a,
Like a helical file?
yeah, it's a techno post. It's called techno post.
It's kind of
It's like an auger
cantilevering the
screw
deck.
type
It's
thing,
a
right?
screw type. It goes all like it goes 6 feet down, and they're very. They have the strength to go even put a, you know, what do you call it, sunroom on top of those.
Well, I think through the chair, the other
So
question.
you don't even need to disturb the ground based on the deck being there.
Right, yeah, understood. Yeah, good. Sorry, Melissa.
No, I was just saying, regardless of how the deck's constructed, your limit of work, will that still be extended into the buffer zone as far as machinery and for construction of the house? And removing the house?
Yeah.
Will that be, you know, past the 100-foot buffer line, I would imagine?
Yeah, I think we would just need to have you submit an IDA.
Okay.
Just to do this. Because to Melissa's point, you know, even though the deck is only extending into the 100-foot buffer zone by a couple feet, you'll be doing work around that area in the buffer zone as part of the construction.
And I think what we just look for in that is erosion controls, like making sure that there's erosion controls set up to avoid dirt and sediment and stuff going down into the.
So how far do you want me to go? Like 200 foot or just beyond that? Where do you want me to stop the
With erosion
silt
controls?
fence?
The silt fence should be as close to
The house?
the work as
Okay.
you can manage reasonably and still have enough room to maneuver to be able to do the construction that you want. Basically, that's part of your package to the commission and showing them, here's how much disturbance I need.
So basically what I can, because there'll be very less digging for the foundation because it's already sloping in. So there'll be very less digging for the foundation on that side towards the lake.
Mhm.
So most of the digging would be done in the front.
Mhm.
And like I did have the elevation plans coming in soon, but when we look at the site, it doesn't need too much of digging of any disturbance of anything.
Right.
Just pretty much close to the street. That's the only thing required.
So the other thing to consider is your contractor going to need to stockpile any materials or soil? And if so, where are they going to do that? Are they going to need any, you know, what kind of room are they going to need to maneuver to get this done and represent that?
At
with the
least
erosion controls?
they need like 10 to 12 feet from, because the deck is already 12 feet, so they can manage within that area.
Yeah, so that's a conversation you have to have with your contractor.
I'm the
Kind of-
contractor.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Okay, so, yeah, just think about, you know, how much room you're gonna need, you know, and you can put a narrative together in the RDA and locate the erosion controls appropriately. And just have that on a plan that's submitted with the application. So So, okay?
All right.
I would be amiss if I did not at least tell you, like I said before, if you do seriously intend to do the dock, if you file instead of an RDA, what's called a notice of intent with the dock and the house with the deck, there is a little bit of savings to be had there. Our consultant will only come out to your property once instead of twice if you filed the RDA and then the NOI for the dock. So it's up to you. The NOI filing is a little bit more substantial, but it may be more
Yeah, I
costly,
hired actually,
cost-effective for you in the long run.
I hired actually one of the local companies out here. So they might file the RDA or notice of intent.
You have a little bit of discretion here. Like,
And I did, I may get the demo permit now. So will I have to wait for the RDA or notice of intent to be filed for that to start the work?
So
Because-
basically, work that's outside of our jurisdiction, no, but this one's tricky because if there's sedimentation or material stockpile storage in the buffer zone resulting from that work, that triggers the commission's jurisdiction. So the question is, can you stay out of that 100-foot buffer line?
See, anything that the existing deck has to go from the buffer line anyway, which is already existing in that place. I've already pulled back the foundation like 4 feet, like 6 to 8 feet beyond the existing foundation. So once that it's demoed, he's not going to demo going all the way over there. He's just going to, pull it back all the way from the excavator.
street,
With
from the
the
top?
excavator, yeah, he'll just pull it back. So I don't think so. He has to go that far. I can put the silt fence pretty close to it.
I would recommend doing that just because it helps you, it protects you, you know what I mean? Just to, in
Yeah,
case.
Just to be safe.
Just to
Yeah.
be safe.
Yeah.
I'm pulling the permit as a homeowner, so.
Okay. All right, so if there's any last question, we gotta kind of move along. We got a few more things on the
Okay.
agenda. Okay,
Thank you very
sir.
much. Thank you
Yep.
for your time.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Kim, these are the plans for the house if you want to
That would
take
be
a
great.
look.
Thank
I got like multiple copies.
you. Perfect.
Have a good evening, Mr. Gill.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Trail Zero Legacy Farms North, actually,
To
the
the chair?
trail, yes, Kim.
I don't see Peter here, but I was definitely under the impression that he would be.
Yeah, Becca's here.
Yes.
Hi, Becca.
Unfortunately, I can't present it for you.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, through the chair.
Yes.
I was here earlier, and I had made a request with Anna and Kim to potentially have the board authorize her to sign the conditions of our construction so we didn't have to wait another 2 weeks. Might that be possible?
He was here earlier, Parker Point?
15 Parker Point. Thank you.
Do we have a signature page if you guys would like to do it?
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
I do want to caveat that I will do the order as soon as I can.
I understand, and congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
It's the 2-week window with the weather and everything that if we could circumvent that a little bit, I certainly appreciate everybody's help.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
We can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so it doesn't look like Mr. Bemis is here, so presumably we'll continue that out to the next meeting.
I'm really mad for Becca right now.
I know, sorry, Becca.
He even emailed me at like 6 o'clock with more documentation for tonight. So he must have had some kind of emergency or something.
He heard Ed was not making bread, and he said, "What's the point?"
You what?
He's been emailing me through this meeting, so.
And I sent him an email about an hour ago and said, Peter, where are you? Are you coming to our meeting? And I haven't heard back.
All right.
Peter Bemis. Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
need to, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta open it and then we'll continue. Sorry about that, Becca. I didn't realize you were sitting back there. I didn't see you until these folks moved.
Very good at hiding.
Who's here for 2 things?
Yeah, I just gotta find the hearing notice.
Through the chair,
Yes.
may I address the
representative of the Ashland Conservation Commission.
You may.
And just letting you know that the straw wattles on the DCR property that are wrapped with plastic are still there on the road that goes up to House Street. They should go away.
You probably should. I'll take a note of that.
They're wrapped in plastic?
Yeah, plastic netting.
Okay, the Hopkinton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 1st, 2022 at 7 at the Hopkinton Senior Center, 28 Mayhew Street, to hear all persons interested in a notice of intent filed by the trails for drainage improvements with associated site work. Location is 0 Wilson Street, Assessor's Map, R8, Block 37, Lot 0. So we'll open this, and if I can get a motion to continue this to the next meeting, November 15th.
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Okay, for continued hearings, 0 Legacy Farms North, this is the amended NOI for the drainage improvements. I get a motion to continue that one to November 15th.
I'll make that motion too.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And Mrs. Lasher. Last but not least, 172 Spring Street. This is a continuation of a notice of intent for an addition, a deck, and a pool. Good evening.
Good evening, Your Honor.
No. Way too official.
So, from last meeting, 2 weeks ago, we left when we had to expand on our wetland flagging near Flag 9 and near Flag 8. Flag 9 has been extended in this direction. Flag 8 is here to here. We also had to evaluate, Scott Heim had to evaluate the intermittent ditch that went across the back of the property. It is highlighted right there. We have both sides delineated. It's right here. Okay. So the pool used to be here, that's been removed.
Yep.
We're taking out this wood bridge that's here. We've expanded on the Wildflower, was 435 and now 765 square feet. We've been requested to extend the PIBs down the driveway. We've actually taken liberties and put a medallion in the tree, and the tree is located and labeled there. It's also indicated that we're using this wall and this wall as PIB. We're proposing a PIB at the front of the Wildflowers, here and here, and then we have PIBs here, but we haven't determined yet what they'll be.
Where was that?
That was along
The last PIV that you...
Yeah, we're going to do PIBs down
Gotcha,
here.
okay.
We just haven't determined what they're going to be yet.
Okay.
Okay, I think that addresses what we had discussed last week, Kim. So that area beyond the swale, it looks like they're putting PIDs up, so that'll we just be allowed to grow wild?
Wild,
Yeah.
Yep, we're going to plant wildflowers there, yep.
Okay.
Almost up to the ditch.
I prefer to call it my babbling brook.
Yeah.
That doesn't babble.
Through the chair?
Yes.
Question for Joe. Was your comment on flag number 9 being too low addressed?
I do see a flag 9A. It looks like it was addressed. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, questions or comments from commission members?
Nope. Just say thank you. It makes it really easy. At least for me.
Yeah, thank you very much for working with us. Okay, if I can get a motion to close and approve the notice of intent for
So
172 Spring Street. So moved.
Second.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to abstain. I wasn't here.
Oh, okay, yep. Great, get that in.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, good evening.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much. Yep, good luck.
Thanks.
Sorry you had to wait all weekend
No,
for
it's
that.
fine. It's fine.
Kind of entertaining, right?
I'm sorry?
Entertaining, right?
Oh, it was actually kind of
Such a
educational.
thing.
Yeah. Thank you.
A lot of people go through the whole life without the education.
Okay, so we had a couple public forum requests, Kim, the 53G funds release.
So I am requesting the commission vote to release 53G consultant account funds from Seaboard Solar in regards to the site at 71 Franklin Road. Seaboard Solar was the original applicant, and they put funds on file for construction monitoring, and then they recently sold to, I keep mispronouncing it, Agilitas Solar. So I've reached out to Agilitas Solar about funds on file for construction monitoring. So I'd like to release the funds owned by Seaboard Solar back to them. And that amount is $1,388.75.
All right.
So we'll get it from the new owner,
Yes,
just to
we will.
replace it.
Where does that
We
number
have
come
it from the new owner,
No.
or we will get it?
We will get it.
No, no, you waited till you get it before you give something back.
If we do not get it, they will see me, and they won't like that.
And we can't use the funds for the other company anyways, right? Since they don't own it anymore.
Well, they're the applicant, though, no? I guess not.
No, they sold it, transferred it.
No, I know they sold the project. I don't know if they sold the property. They sold the
Should have
property?
been part of the sale.
They sold the property and the project?
That's what they do.
So we didn't get, so the application that we still have is Seaboard. The ownership was never changed on it. There's no new application.
When you buy the permits. The permits transfer with the ownership.
They can't or they can?
They transfer.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
I would
So we
think-
also just did this for
I think the money would
Chamberlain
transfer.
Whalen. We transferred from Mastroianni to Toll Brothers.
And Mastriani got his leftover money back. Okay.
I'm trying to be better about getting people's money back.
I was
No,
just,
I think that's a good thing.
I'm just curious where that funny number comes from. Why isn't it just an even 1,000 or 1,100? Why is it in 75 cents?
We spent some of it. So
Oh, okay.
Seaboard Solar started.
Okay.
And
That was the
construction
balance that was left?
Yeah.
I think we should have audited it. That quarter, I'd like to know where that quarter was.
Okay, so do we have a motion to release the funds as requested by Kim?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Aye.
Thanks, Ed.
You're
As
welcome.
opposed. Yeah, but wait, so we should get moved, no, we don't need to. We got-
And then the second public forum request was with regard to remote meetings. So, you know, I don't know if you guys have been reading the paper about the new COVID strain. There's a new flu strain, and now there's this,
RSV,
yeah, the
Oh,
RSV strain.
bad.
What time?
That's for kids, though.
No.
That's for kids
My
who've been
little kid
secluded.
got it.
Oh, no, really?
How do you
Yeah.
test for that? Do you test for that? How do you
Yeah, they
know?
sent a little test to the lab.
Yeah?
So, you know, we want to protect
Wanna
Kim's
protect Kim.
new addition, you know,
Indeed.
and Kim.
Yes.
And, you know, I'm getting up there in age, as Ed, maybe you're right behind me.
Do you need a walker or canes or anything?
No, but I mean, you know, I'm at risk technically.
How old is it risk?
Get out of here.
How old is it risk?
Like over 50, isn't it?
What? At risk of what?
You know, you're
Stuff.
at risk of getting it more easily than someone who's, you know,
Oh, really?
young and, I guess.
Well, full disclosure, I've had one COVID shot and I'm way over 50. And I don't feel at any more risk, although this RSV thing, I never heard of it.
So we just wanted to throw it out there, you know, maybe it makes sense to do remote meetings for a few months until it kind of, you know, we get through the winter.
We're doing remote still in Upper Charles and CPC. You guys are doing remote in
No.
open space? Yeah,
No.
oh, never mind.
We're doing remotes on Zach. I'm fine going remote.
I'm
No,
fine.
fine.
It
I'm
is
fine
nice to be
either
able
way.
to look at the maps, but I'm completely fine. It's also nice to be able to stay home,
Yeah.
have my own
Especially in the
fridge.
winter.
have
Well, this is-
meetings.
Hey, when it's snowing,
It's
it's cold.
only as an option. It's not as a, we're still going to be in person with the option of hybrid.
No, it's not hybrid, it would be
Or-
remote.
Oh, it'd be totally
You're-
remote.
Yeah,
And you're
totally
proposing
remote.
going remote starting next meeting?
Next meeting has to be live, right, Anna?
So it would be 2 meetings away.
Why not a hybrid, like we're doing the other ones?
Don't have the facilities.
It's too difficult.
Yeah, okay.
I'm fine with
I mean, it's
going
okay
remote.
with me, I'm not gonna be able to get here for a meeting or two.
We're talking about.
I want to keep
remote
Kim and family
meetings
safe.
after
I
the
want to keep
next
Jeff
one.
safe.
Okay.
I'm okay either way.
This RSV thing, Gigi's been sick for like 10 days.
But yeah, so it would be kind of nice not to have to travel in the cold and snowy winter.
Oh, come on. We'll get you, the senior center will pick you up in the bus.
So do I have a motion to go to remote meetings starting December 6th?
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm abstaining.
Okay.
Because you're not sure?
Jim, what was your vote?
My vote is yay for remote, I guess.
Okay, so Ed, you just abstained?
And it's
Just gonna
for,
abstain.
for indeterminate amount of time.
Because I don't want to be a crank and
Yeah.
vote no.
Well, the
And I don't
governor
wanna
hasn't
vote
extended
yes.
it forever. I mean, there is an end to the governor's.
I want to
Currently, it's March of
respect
2023.
Kim's
Right.
situation.
Through
So-
the chair.
Yes.
The planner actually approached me this afternoon and said that at his MAPC meetings, that there's been a lot of discussions, and it sounds like the state is moving toward putting some type of remote meeting in place.
I think we should all
for
lock down.
either extending or a permanent option.
Oh, really?
So, I know the planning board has been very happy with remote, they've been staying remote. So
We've been
you
doing
just said,
hybrid.
offer it up to the commission and let them
You
see
guys
right
doing
now,
hybrid.
as Kim said, it is only good through
right?
March of 2023. So.
We're doing hybrids.
I like doing it in person better, you know? It's nice seeing you guys, but, you know, with everything going around, I think it's probably just better to be safe.
Yeah.
We might probably reevaluate in the spring, you know?
Yep, definitely.
Meeting question, why is January 10 and 24 italicized just because we're not sure? It's far out.
Through the chair, because I added them after I posted
Okay.
the agenda, so technically,
Right.
whenever I revise it, I italicize what I revised.
Okay, cool.
All right, any
All right.
other public forums? Kim?
I wanted to do a photo, but Carrie bailed on us, so I guess you guys.
See, we gotta do that.
We got one more in-person meeting. No one's allowed to bail.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, I can't be, there's just no way in
You're
hell.
not gonna make the next one?
I have a conflict that night.
All right.
Sounds like you got more
Hey,
people
I-
in this meeting. Do you want?
15th. Oh, 15th.
I'm not here the 15th, there's
Okay.
absolutely no way I can be here, so your conflict takes backseat.
My what?
Your
My
concert, wherever you
conflict?
sit.
He's saying he's more important than you?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm right.
Okay. Tell my,
Melissa and Jim are both out the 15th.
I'm here.
yeah, I think so. I'll see. I definitely have a conflict
Okay.
with another meeting, but I'll.
All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Yeah, we can do that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed?
So do you want to take a photo of us, or do you want to wait till we have
We should do
everybody
that
over there?
because
You're
I don't know
taking
how
our
long we're
picture?
gonna get the next